Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Me, Noor Azura, and my friend here, Syuhada, will explain to you about the most popular topic these days, which is COVID-19. We will be showing you the information that you need to know about the deadly disease. The first things you need to know is the pathogenesis of the deadly coronavirus. Scientists believe that COVID-19 originally infected bats, then the virus got transmitted to pangolins and finally jumped to humans. The virus that caused COVID-19 is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, or also known as SARS-CoV-2. There are four important structural proteins, which are S, E, M, and proteins that make up the virus and responsible for the spreading. S is spike protein, which function in allowing virus to attach to membrane of host cell. E is envelope protein. M is membrane that defines the shape of viral envelope and also the central organizer of coronavirus assembled. And N is nucleocapsid that bound to virus's single RNA strand. N protein function is to inhibit host cells' defense mechanism and assist in the virus RNA to replicate. Once the virus entered a healthy human body, they come in contact with cells in the throat, nose, or lungs. One of the protein spikes on the virus surfaces will insert itself to a receptor binding molecule, or known as, found on a healthy epithelial cells. The binding allows the virus to get inside the membrane. Unlike other flu viruses, coronavirus can access directly to ribosomes. Ribosomes will synthesize virus proteins such as spike protein from the genetic information of the virus. A packaging structure in the cells then carry the spikes produced in the vesicles, which then merge with the outer layer of the cell membrane. All the parts needed to create a new virus will gather just beneath the cell membrane. Then, a new virus will diffuse out of the cell membrane. Therefore, the body will start to develop pneumonia. But, how exactly the body develops pneumonia from the coronavirus? When we breathe normally, the air moves freely into the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and lastly to the alveoli, where gas exchange occurs. Alveoli are very flexible as it inflates and deflates when we exhale or inhale air. Our airways accumulate most bacteria in the mucus that lines the trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. And in a normal healthy body, on the surface of the tubes, there is a lining of hair-like cilia which will constantly push the mucus, bacteria, and germs away from the airways, which then expel them to the outside of the body by coughing or sneezing. The cells of body's immune system will attack the viruses and bacteria that successfully make it pass to the mucus and cilia and enter the alveoli. However, if our immune systems are weakened by the coronavirus infection, the virus can overpower the immune cells. Bronchioles and alveoli will become inflamed as the immune system attacks the multiplying viruses. The inflammation can cause the alveoli to fill with fluid, making it hard for the body to get the oxygen. Pneumonia symptoms will occur to the body as liquid fills the lung. Viruses are very well known for their ability to evolve in order to accelerate the process of getting into the host. Teams from the Peking Beijing University's School of Life Sciences and the Institute Pasteur of Shanghai have found that the evolution of SARS-CoV-2 is associated with two single nucleotide polymorphisms (SNPs) in the virus RNA strains, which are the S lineage and the L lineage. S is the minor and L is the major. The researchers also stated that these lineages may have different rates of transmission or replication. The evolution of S lineage to L lineage changes the virus genetic information. The genetic information then can change the shape of protein spike so that it can bind to the ACE2 receptor more efficiently. The binding of the virus with ACE2 will increase rapidly, thus making the virus more transmissible. In China, more COVID-19 cases are linked with L lineage than S, and that was why the epidemic happened very fast in the country. Fortunately, after their government declared lockdown and it was done very strictly, they managed to control the virus from spreading even more within the country. They also had successfully reduced the spreading of SARS-CoV-2 that have the L lineage in the strains. Therefore, the coronavirus that infected people outside China and causing the pandemic around the world was likely to be the virus with the S lineage in the strain. Many suggest that the pandemic is impacted from lack of social isolation and low hygiene practices. Yes, it is, but there is also other factors that influence the pandemic. First is age. Age is one of the strongest factors that contributing the pandemic. Immune performance of an individual are affected by age. As age progresses, the individuals may be more vulnerable to SARS-CoV-2, especially those who already have existing diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and coronary heart disease. The reducing self-defense could also lead in the increase of infection, and people will be more prone to COVID-19. Therefore, age is a critical factor in determining the spreading of the virus. Another triggering factor that causing the pandemic is population density. The number of infected people will become naturally high if the population density is high. This is because when in a very dense population, there will be more contacts among people, thus COVID-19 can spread more easily. The next factor is air temperature and humidity. In temperate countries like Brazil, the people indoors are restricted with low airflow and ventilation. Low airflow and ventilation regulates low temperatures, causing people to be more susceptible to infectious diseases, and the chance for virus to spread accelerates rapidly within the community. Even worse, low temperature results in increase of humidity in the air, which declines human innate immune responses and deteriorating the underlying health conditions, especially those who suffer from cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused an unprecedented health, social, and economic crisis globally. The pandemic has stimulated a new global crisis to the scale that we couldn't foresee. COVID-19 outbreak has impacted many individuals, which leads to various health issues. The healthcare workers who are the frontliners and risking their own life in order to give their services to the community. The stress and burnout from their works could eventually lead to mental health issues, and there is lack of therapeutic support for them. Not just that, many of them have died because they get infected while working and due to heart diseases which results from high stress level. The outbreak has also affecting the healthcare system, workforces, and as most are involved in managing COVID-19 cases. As hospitals are loaded with COVID-19 patients, there is not enough beds and facilities for other patients. As government announced lockdown and MCO to reduce the spreading of the virus, citizens cannot do their daily activities normally. They have to follow new SOP that released by the Health Ministry, such as wearing masks in public, social distancing, no mass gathering allowed, and many more. US, China, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Japan, and many other countries are very badly affected by the pandemic to the point that the countries are at the verge of collapsing. The slowdown in the world's two leading economies, the US and China, and huge disruptions to international trade will result in longer-term effects to the world economy. The stock markets have been pounded and oil prices have declined rapidly around the world. Furthermore, economic fallout leads to hundreds of millions of people worldwide lost their jobs. Millions of workers from private sector and migrant workers are in immediate danger of losing their livelihood, and millions of jobs have been put on hold. There are 1.6 billion migrant workers that make up half of the world workforce, and it is uncertain whether they will have jobs even when the crisis is over. And that is all from me. My friend Syuhada will take it from here.
Hi everyone, I'm Syuhada. So I'm gonna talk about the current medication for COVID-19 and the prevention measures taken by some organizations, and lastly the future recommendations in order for us to prevent another pandemic in the future. So first, let us look at the current medication. Unfortunately, as of now, there is still no antiviral drugs or vaccines approved for COVID-19. Fortunately, however, scientists are conducting ongoing clinical trials for some of the existing antiviral drugs. So these drugs include chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, lopinavir and ritonavir, as well as remdesivir. So let us look at chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. Chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine are antiviral drugs which are used to treat malaria and several inflammatory diseases. So these drugs work by limiting pathogen entry, and if there is any entry of pathogens into the cell, these drugs can actually kill those pathogens by suppressing their viral replications. In a clinical trial from China, 100 COVID-19 patients showed faster recovery when they are treated with chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. So despite the successes from some clinical trials, experts are still wary of these drugs because there is still limited data available on these drugs. Therefore, scientists actually advise for the administration of these drugs to be carried out carefully to the patients. So next, we will look at lopinavir and ritonavir. So lopinavir is usually coupled with ritonavir to treat HIV. So this drug is said to have antiviral activities against coronaviruses, including the new SARS-CoV-2 virus, which actually caused COVID-19 disease. So, according to a study, this drug works by suppressing the protease activity of the pathogens, thus killing them. So, in a clinical trial, also from China, it showed that 3 patients who were treated with lopinavir and ritonavir showed faster recovery. So next we will look at remdesivir. So remdesivir is a very powerful antiviral drug because it has a broad spectrum against many RNA viruses. So in a clinical trial from China showed that one group which was treated with remdesivir showed faster recovery as compared to the other group of patients who were under placebo treatment. So this shows that remdesivir also has the potential to treat against coronaviruses. However, these antiviral drugs still do not have the approval because there is still limited data on the clinical trials, because some of the clinical trials were not carried out randomly, so this makes the data quite unreliable. Therefore, some hospitals actually use different treatment methods such as symptomatic treatment. So symptomatic treatment is basically a treatment that focuses on treating the symptoms experienced by the patients. For instance, if the COVID-19 patient is experiencing moderate symptoms such as fever and cough, the doctors will actually provide the treatments for those symptoms instead. So symptomatic treatments has proven to be quite effective, especially in Malaysia. Next, we will look at the prevention measures taken by some organizations. So some organizations such as WHO and CDC have actually released a set of guidelines for the public to follow in order to protect themselves from being infected. So these guidelines or precautions usually include the good hygienic practices such as the proper hand washing techniques, as well as a guideline on how we can disinfect frequently touched surfaces and many other precautions. So you can check their guidelines on their official websites. So when we're talking about a nationwide kind of prevention measures, we will look at how countries responded to this pandemic. So first we will look at how Malaysia handles this pandemic. So we can say that Malaysia responded quite quickly, especially when WHO declared this disease as a pandemic. The Malaysian government immediately introduced the movement control order, where in this measure, offices, universities, school, and business premises are actually closed down temporarily, and only the essential sectors are allowed to operate during this period. So by doing this, Malaysians are able to practice social distancing from one another, and we can see that the number of positive cases in Malaysia decreased gradually, thus showing that this measure actually is effective in containing this disease. So in contrast to Malaysia's response is Indonesia. So Indonesia was heavily criticized because the government was indecisive in introducing lockdown measures in the nation. It is to the point where some Indonesians actually practice their own quarantine measures, as reported by Al Jazeera. So some of these Indonesians actually quarantined themselves despite at that time the country is still not on a quarantine measure, because they felt safer by doing so. And these Indonesians actually also promote the quarantine measures among their close community, especially among their neighborhood. So as we can see, one of the most effective ways in containing a pandemic is by introducing social distancing practices. As we can see in previous disease outbreaks such as the Spanish flu, by practicing social distancing or lockdown measures, the number of positive cases can be reduced and the curve can be flattened. So next we will look at the future recommendations. So some scientists have actually proposed a few ways in order for us to prevent another pandemic in the future. So first, we can actually enforce a stricter surveillance among wildlife animals, as these wildlife animals could potentially harbor dangerous pathogens. So according to a report by UNEP, 60% of infectious diseases among humans were actually transmitted from wildlife animals. In fact, studies have also reported that the novel SARS-CoV-2 might actually be transmitted from wildlife animals because it showed similar genome as SARS-CoV, which was found in bats. Therefore, authorities should conduct a regular screening and testing among wildlife animals in order to identify any of these animals who could potentially harbor these dangerous pathogens. Another step that we can take is by enforcing a tighter security for illegal wildlife animal trading. This is because COVID-19 was first spread at a wet market in China known as Huanan Seafood Wholesale Market. And it is said that this wet market and many other wet markets actually sell wildlife animal meat, which could be the product from illegal wildlife animal trading. So when it was first found out that this is the place where the disease was first spread, China immediately shut down the wet market. Therefore, it is very important for authorities to conduct or check for any illegal wildlife animal trading regularly, because these wildlife animals could be the reservoir for the dangerous pathogens. Lastly, another step that we can take is authorities should carry out quick and efficient actions upon any possible outbreak. So the government and health officials should always be on the lookout for any possible disease outbreak. The authorities should be prepared to conduct a series of actions in order to prevent any imported cases into the country. However, if the disease is already being spread among the community, then the authorities should respond immediately to contain this disease from being spread even worse among the community. So that's all from me and Azura. Thank you so much for watching our video, and we hope that you will be able to learn something new from our video. Don't forget to hit the like button, and thank you everyone. Stay safe and have a nice day. Bye.